Thank you so much for joining us. We are the Ignorance Project, and today we have a very special guest. Amber, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Dr. Amber Michelle Cheatham. I went to Oakwood University. I got a biology degree from there, and then I went on to Meharry Medical College and I got my PhD in biomedical science with a concentration in microbiology and immunology. And I'm currently completing my postdoctoral training at the Walter Reed Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, which is outside of Washington, D.C.
Thank you. That's awesome. Congratulations. And so today, what I want to talk about is a very sensitive subject for a lot of people. It's a health issue that has kind of turned into a political issue for so many people. And I know for me, just on a personal note, I have had people very close to me in my life pass from COVID. And I know that the vaccines are such a sensitive subject. So I have actually been a strong advocate for the vaccine. I work in healthcare, obviously not on the medical side, but on the technical side. And, you end up hearing a lot of things that are happening in the healthcare world because, of course, this is part of it. So everything that happens in the hospitals obviously has an impact on the work that we do. And I'd say that I definitely post a lot of pro-vaccine things, and I have a lot of people in my DMs because I'm posting a lot of pro-vaccine things. And I wanted to just take a moment because obviously I believe what I believe, and everyone is very clear about my beliefs. But part of the Ignorance Project is challenging the beliefs that you have, and also being able to have an open discussion. So I have been having conversations with people, like I said, that are anti-vaccine or hesitant about the vaccine. And Amber, that's when I wanted to reach out to you because I wanted to take a step back and not be so emotional about the reason that I feel why I feel, and also be able to address a lot of the concerns that people have, legitimate concerns that people have about getting the vaccine. So to kind of kick off our discussion, can we just talk about what the vaccine is and the different options that people have?
Okay. Oh, first I wanted to say I'm sorry about people passing that from COVID. I know some people as well. Yeah, it's just a very bad illness, sickness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. So what is the vaccine? So right now there's 3 vaccines out. The Pfizer one just got approved by the FDA this week. So I feel like you can't use that as an excuse now because it is approved by the FDA. And then, so Pfizer and Moderna, they actually use the mRNA. So, okay. So what they did, first of all, the coronavirus, it has a spike protein that sits on the outside of it. So I'll just call it's a spike protein. So the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine, it actually contains the mRNA. So it's basically the directions to make the spike protein.
Okay.
You get injected with the mRNA vaccine, and then it uses your own cell's machinery to make the spike protein. So the spike protein that's being made by your body is foreign. And so your immune cells will come and be like, hey, what is this? This doesn't belong here. So they'll study it, figure out what it is, figure out how to kill it. And then you'll have your memory cells that'll remember how to kill it. So then later on, if you come in contact with the coronavirus or COVID-19, your body will remember how to kill it and elicit a fast immune response. And hopefully you won't get sick.
Okay. So I don't want to interrupt you, but I kind of want to interrupt you. So one thing that I hear people say a lot is they are putting COVID into your body with that vaccine. Okay, so let's dispel that myth right now. So no, they're not.
It's not. It's no live virus. It's not the whole entire virus. It's literally the directions to make a protein of the virus.
Okay, so it's like kind of cloning something, kind of like, okay, I've seen this before, so now I know how to resolve it because I've seen it.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So that's Pfizer Moderna. The J&J one, it kind of works the same thing, except for it's not mRNA, it's actually the DNA.
Okay.
But it's the DNA still against the spike protein. So
Okay.
DNA will go to the nucleus of your cells to do the transcription to get the mRNA and then do translation to make the protein. So it's kind of just one step before, versus the other two, it starts with the mRNA, which is like the transcript information. So the J&J starts with DNA.
Okay, so the J&J still is not injecting COVID into you.
It's not COVID. It's not. It's just literally the directions to make the protein.
Okay, that's good to know. I know that's something I hear a lot of. Yeah, and I know there are a lot of people that I see kind of reposting so many videos, right? So what's something that you would recommend that people do before they believe something that they see on the internet?
I think they should check the source. Well, okay. So first, if you have any questions or concerns, please talk to your primary care.
Yeah.
Number one.
Good advice.
Do that first before you start Googling.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of my information from scientific journals that include studies, clinical trials, because I mean, I read those for my job anyways, for my certain project. And the CDC has been pretty up to date. I know a lot of people may have some issues because they'll be like, oh, we don't have to wear a mask. No, wear a mask. Oh, you don't have to wear a mask. So they kind of flip flop. But
yeah,
I think it's because it's just new. You know, we're still learning how to fight this. And, you know, we're thinking that the vaccine is the cure, which I do believe that vaccines, they do work. I mean, how many people do you know that's living in an iron lung because they have polio? Like, people don't get polio anymore because we have a vaccine.
Right.
This thing, the reason why, especially with the Delta variant, you know, the vaccines that we have is not as effective against the Delta variant. So that's why some people can still get infected, which I guess we'll talk about later, called breakthrough infections. Severe ones, we can talk about that later, even though they still are vaccinated. But that's what viruses do. They're really smart and they learn how to adapt. And so they can mutate. And that's why you have all these different variants. So they become stronger. So yeah, I know they said that the booster shots are going to start rolling out next month, which will probably be targeted against the Delta variant because they said the spike protein is a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have another question here because I know, so the flu vaccine is something where we see that a lot, where you have to continue to get the flu vaccine, right? So this is no different because there are always going to be variants of the flu. So there are always going to be variants of COVID, right?
Right. And coronavirus and this strain like COVID-19 is, you know, is pretty bad. But I think a lot of coronavirus, they can cause the common cold. Well, maybe not quite the common cold, but they could cause other colds and things like that. So their family is a SARS family coronavirus. That's the family of the viruses. So they are common. It's just this one is really bad.
Okay, so thank you for that. I know another question I get, this one might throw you for a loop or get a loop kind of, but I have had people say, you know, I've taken this vaccine, right? And it threw off my period for women. Why does that happen?
Okay, I have heard of that. My coworker, he was telling me his fiance, they took the J&J one, and I guess like her period, you know, right after her taking the vaccine, it was a little bit longer, but the next month it was fine. So I was looking up to see what the reason why it happened, and just saying that it may be maybe your body, like maybe stress or an immune response. So, you know, what I was saying, when the directions are injected in you, which is the mRNA or the DNA, whatever, the vaccine, and your body's making the spike protein, you may have like a slight fever and all, you know, some of these mild symptoms and stuff, you know, and that could elicit stress on your body because your body's trying to figure out, hey, this thing is foreign, let's try to kill it and stuff like that. So I was reading that could be one of the reasons why it could change your period, but it should resume. maybe the next month or the next month. And essentially, I know like being in grad school, I was stressed, and you can't have some fluctuations just
Right.
from life and stress
Right.
with your cycle. So I
And
just
this is definitely a stressful time for all of us.
yeah, it is. And
No.
this is 2 years of living like this.
Yeah, I can't believe this, but yeah, it's been a few years now. Okay, so the other question that I get a lot is, um, how do we know how this is going to impact kids? Because now I don't remember the age that kids can start getting the vaccine now.
Um, I think it just got the Pfizer's FDA approved. I want to say it's 16.
Okay,
I know they were trying to look at 12. It's still
right.
mentioning like 12 to 15 or something like
Mhm.
that, around that time. They're still trying to figure it out, of course, like for younger kids and stuff. But so far, at least with the kids 16 and up, they haven't found any reason why they shouldn't be vaccinated.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, if you want to talk about fertility, I read on the CDC
Yeah.
that several people have gotten pregnant after being fully vaccinated.
hmm
And also for males, because I've gotten this too. Some of my guy friends are like, what about my fertility, my sperm? I don't want it to be broken. But studies have shown that the vaccine doesn't affect characteristics of sperm or sperm.
Okay,
So yeah.
that's good to know. That's good. Yeah, I guess men would have that concern too.
Yeah, I've gotten that concern. I was
Yeah.
like, well, okay. But yeah, there's no evidence that the vaccine negatively affects fertility for both male and female.
Okay. Thanks for adding men in there. That's a good one. Okay, so another question, because a lot of people say this thing is so new. How do I know that it's safe if it's just coming out, I think last year and just FDA approved a few days ago?
December, yeah, that was okay. So that was initially my concern.
Hmm.
So I got vaccinated in January.
Mm-hmm.
And me, I mean, I'm a scientist. I believe in science, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to be first in line. I
Mm-hmm.
think I was probably like one of the first 10 million people
Mm-hmm.
at that time to get the vaccine.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I'm still here. I
Still surviving. And
mean,
then,
it's new, it's learning, but they were doing the clinical trials and stuff, and they were monitoring people for months before
Mhm.
it came available for emergency use.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one. And then I've read, I don't know how true this is, right? But one thing that I've read is that they've been doing like research for this vaccine for years, um,
Mhm.
around like mRNA, maybe COVID too, since it kind of causes the flu. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. So there was the SARS back in China. I think in 2002 or 2003, they had a SARS, because this is SARS-CoV-2 that we have now. So they
Right.
had just the first SARS, really
hmm
bad in China. And so
hmm
people have been researching it and trying to make vaccines. So they've used that research because it's similar. It's just, like this is the second version of it.
Yeah.
So it's
Kind of like a sequel to the flu.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this is just brand new. Like,
Mhm.
coronaviruses have been around and being
Wow. So 2002, 2003, that's a long time.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes me feel better too, because I'd say I got the vaccine relatively early too, because I had to help at some vaccine clinics.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so they helped us, they got us vaccinated, but that was absolutely something I was a little bit scared about. Like, oh my gosh. And at that, I got Moderna, and no one that I knew had Moderna at that time. So
Mhm.
I was a little bit freaking out. Like, is this
Yeah.
going to be okay? But at the end of the day, for me, I had to just weigh the pros and cons. And I mean, I live with my family, and I didn't want to take anything home to. At the time, my brother was with us. My brother, my parents. I just wanted to make sure I kept everyone as safe as possible
Right.
on my end. And that's another question I have that I did not send you, but since we're talking. I do have a question about like, does me taking that vaccine make me less likely to pass the vaccine to someone else?
Pass the virus.
To pass the virus, thank you.
Yes and no.
Okay.
So, like I said, the vaccine was originally made against the original strain, which I think is gamma strain. I'm bad with Greek letters, but the original strain, right? So now 90% of the COVID-19 infections, they're Delta, right? So the efficacy and the effectiveness of the vaccine is less because it's a different strain. Because like I said, the spike protein is slightly different.
Okay, got it.
Well, I was reading in a Nature article today that the Delta variant, you can actually transmit it up to 2 days before you start experiencing symptoms. And vaccinated people, they are able to transmit it too.
Okay. So a lot of what's being spread right now from people that are vaccinated is actually the Delta variant.
Delta, yeah, 90%.
Oh, that's good to know because I know that's something that happens a lot too. You know, people say, well, if you got vaccinated, how did you get COVID? Or how did you pass it on? So that's how you get COVID when you're vaccinated.
Yeah, so you can. So that's why, well, you're in Florida, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I'm up in the DMV. We have rules. So yeah, that's why you should definitely wear your mask, whether you're vaccinated, especially if you're not vaccinated, but everybody should just wear a mask out in public and large crowds and stuff.
So another thing I've heard is, okay, I'm seeing people die that have gotten vaccinated. Why is that?
Again, they're still researching that. So that's called a breakthrough infection. And I'm sorry you've seen people die from that, even though they are vaccinated. Let's see. I did read that it's pretty rare. They said, because over hundreds of million people have been vaccinated to date. So they said CDC is saying they've estimated a little less than 10,000 individuals have had a breakthrough infection.
Okay.
A breakthrough infection is when you're vaccinated and you contract COVID-19 and you have adverse side effects, symptoms, you're really sick. You can end up in the hospital. So that's what a breakthrough infection is. So yeah, out of 100, they said more than 168 million people have been vaccinated. So of that, a little less than 10,000 people have had some type of breakthrough infection where they're either hospitalized or they died. So it's still relatively low. I mean, it's really sad for anybody to die.
Right.
And I was looking, they're still trying to gather information because, it's pretty new. I'm seeing how, because I'm assuming it's probably this Delta variant mostly.
Right.
That's, happening now during the summer. But most of those people, it says about 88% of them were older than 65 and up. But they didn't make a definitive conclusion with the demographics. Yeah, it could depend on age and also if you have other pre-existing conditions as well. But they're still gathering information on that.
Okay. And I just did the math kind of quickly, but 10,000 people is obviously a lot. One life lost is a lot, right? But when we look at that 10,000 versus what was it? 168 million people that have been vaccinated, that's 0.00005%, or 6 if we round up. So that's far less than 1% of people that are passing or even contracting COVID out of the vaccinated, because that's not even the 10,000 people. That doesn't include, or I should say this, the 10,000 people are the people that have contracted COVID that are vaccinated, right?
Those are actually just the breakthrough infections. So it's the really bad ones where they're either hospitalized or died. So I'm sure people contracting the virus and are vaccinated is probably going to be higher than that. They're just not really, really sick.
Right. So the really, really sick and the people that have passed would be in that 10,000.
That's in that group, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And again, very sad, but it's good to know that it's a very low percentage out of everyone that's been.
Yeah. And I've seen, I don't know if that's the same percentage, but I saw in another article, they said it's 1 in 900 for the breakthrough infection. So again, it's really low. And that's not counting people that are dying. It's just a breakthrough infection.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you. So let's see, I'm pulling up my list of questions. So we talked about the long-term effects of the vaccine and kids getting it. I have seen actually a few people say this to me, which makes me think that maybe there's something that came out about this recently. People talked about reproduction, which we discussed, but they also talked about memory and cancer. So is that something that is coming about with people that have been vaccinated?
Okay, so it's kind of a myth with the cancer.
Okay.
So again, once you get the vaccine, you may, have those mild side effects. And
Okay.
that, your body is trying to fight, something foreign and trying to remember it. So you'll have an immune response. So there have been some people that have inflamed lymph nodes, which is completely normal because you got a vaccine. So I have read and seen doctors recommend like postponing your mammograms and things like that because people have, they'll get like a false positive because their lymph nodes are, inflamed and large, but it's from the vaccine, it's not cancer. So I think that's maybe how that myth came around. Like it's not causing cancer. And
Okay.
the swelling and stuff should go away. I think it said about like 10 days.
Okay.
So they
That's
said you should either get your mammogram or like cancer. I've heard it for colonoscopies too. You should wait, either do it like 6 weeks before you get vaccinated. And if you get vaccinated, then do like maybe 6 to 8 weeks after you can take your cancer screening test.
Thank you. That's that one threw me like, oh, cancer. Okay. Um, so there are people that have experienced side effects after getting the vaccine, right? Do we know the percentage of people that have permanent or temporary side effects?
According to the CDC, they have not found any long-term side effects.
Okay.
So there have been, I think one is really not that common. Let's see, again, if we say like 170 million people have been vaccinated, that number might be higher. They said approximately 2 to 5 people per million that are vaccinated may experience anaphylaxis. So that's when your throat and stuff swells up, you're having an allergic reaction, you can't breathe. So people generally, they may have experienced that their whole life with any type of vaccine because any vaccine can cause that. And you have severe allergies to the point where you have to carry an EpiPen around with you, you may have anaphylaxis from the COVID-19 vaccine. So again, talk to your primary care doctor.
Okay.
You need to go to the hospital to get your vaccine so they can monitor you.
Okay. That's good to know too. Thank you.
And there's the J&J one. So that's when you remember J&J came out and then they had a little issue with it.
Yeah.
It was causing thrombosis, which
Yeah.
is disorder. Again, it's actually rare. So currently there've been more than 14 million doses of the J&J, and there've been about 44 confirmed reports of the thrombosis, so the blood clotting.
Okay. Okay.
It's really low. And actually, if you're taking birth control pills, one of the side effects is blood clots, and that number is actually higher than this J&J vaccine.
Really? Okay. That's good to know too. I never thought about that.
Yeah, you have getting blood clots in the J.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. The last thing that I have for you, the last question I have is about long-term effects with people that have respiratory issues. And if we know that that's an issue that we should be kind of mindful of right now.
Oh, with the vaccine, if you have respiratory issues, I haven't seen any data on that. Again, the CDC says they haven't seen any long-term effects generally. I know if you catch COVID, you could have long-term respiratory issues.
Yeah.
So again, the vaccine is still kind of new. They're monitoring it, but I haven't seen any issues with that.
Okay, that's good to know too. Thank you. So to kind of wrap it up, I have a question because I know a lot of people do not trust the CDC And we talked about the CDC a lot today. So can you tell us why we can trust the CDC, even though they kind of went back and forth about the mask
Still learning.
Okay.
We're still learning. So they do cite all their studies. So they're, instead of reading each individual clinical case or stuff like that, they're kind of reviewing all the data that's out there and just putting it in one place.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And they have, like, everything I've said, they have references for. Like,
okay. So
and organizations that's been
right.
Yeah.
So just because
coming from.
Okay. So just because I'm seeing it on the CDC website doesn't mean it's only the CDC providing it. It means that they've done their research from other sources as well.
Yeah.
Right. And I can go there and say, okay, even if I don't trust the CDC specifically, I can go to this other source and find out more about them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good to know. So any closing note from you or comments to people that are concerned?
Okay. I'll use my analogy. Well, I think I read it from somewhere else. I just added to it. Okay. So think of getting the vaccine as wearing a seatbelt. So we know a seatbelt, it protects you. It's recommended. Well, actually, I think it's by law. Okay.
It's legal.
Anyways, it protects you from being severely injured, paralyzed, or even dying in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you get in a car accident, even though you're wearing your seatbelt, and you may get really hurt or paralyzed. Your car flip over, you may go through the windshield, even though you're wearing your seatbelt. And, people still die during car accidents, even if they're wearing their seatbelt. But if you weren't wearing your seatbelt, that number would be significantly higher, right?
Right.
And then sometimes you get in a wreck and you have like the little seatbelt burn.
Yeah.
So think about that as the mild side effects from getting the vaccine. Like, it heals, it goes away. Most of the side effects, are no more than 3 days.
Okay.
Things like that. So yes, think of it as wearing a seatbelt.
I like that analogy, especially with the burn.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Little fever and the
chills
and the headache you get for 2-3 days. It goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And it can save your life. It really can.
Right. Right. Well, Amber, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and try to educate the masses. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment. And I don't want to volunteer you to help answer.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could do my best.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.